Welcome back, Troglodytes, to the Trogly's Guitar Show. We have a beautiful 1980 blonde beauty today. I posted a picture of this one over on my Instagram account, and man, that thing got a lot of likes compared to my usual 5 or 6. I mean, this one 50 likes when I'm filming this. Jared James Nichols even liked it. If you don't know who that is, that's the guy who now does the Fretted Americana videos instead of Phil X, since he's too busy all the time. I know if you want to follow him on his Instagram account, he's always doing a bunch of playing and whatnot on there. So this blonde beauty is just a fantastic example. Very, very, very early 1980. I mean, we're talking second day of the year 1980. So it's pretty much a 1979. Now this is a player's grade custom. I say that because everything has been replaced on this guitar except for what you actually want in it. You have your original pots yet, and you have your original Ttop pickups. So everything else plastic-wise, hardware-wise, has been replaced. It's the original finish. So you've got the wood you want, and you've got the Ttops you want. You got the pots that's kind of arguable if you want them or not. Some people like to upgrade these to 500Ks, but it's got the vintage sound. So let's go ahead and go over this 1980 Les Paul Custom. Alright, we'll take a look at the face of the headstock here. We'll run it over the light, and you can see there are some very fine scratches and just average wear and tear for a headstock of a guitar that's been used. I do want to make note that when the new tuners were put on, you can see right under here that there is a little chips in the lacquer due to the new washers applying a little bit more pressure. That caused it to crack a little bit. It's not super noticeable, but it is there, and I want you to be aware of it. But other than that, you just have general wear and tear. Beautiful aging to the headstock. I believe this truss rod cover is original. It's got a little bit of aging to it. The truss rod works just fine. You have your original nut yet, and original frets. And I won't lie to you, the original frets do show quite a bit of wear here. Once I get them in the light, you might want to get a recrown job on them and level them out. I mean, playing this guitar, it plays just fine, but when you look at the frets for what they are, you're going to think, ooh, those are a little bit grooved up, but they do still play just fine. So it's not something you'll have to do right away, but it's something you should definitely think about. You know, save $150. Take it to your local guitar guy and just have somebody competent recrown the frets one of these days. Onto the body of the guitar, there's quite a few light nicks and dings on this guy. I mean, it's a player, you've got some scratches, but you know, no breaks, cracks, or repairs on this one. And that's what you really want to watch out for. I mean, just because one has a break, crack, or repair doesn't mean it's a bad guitar. It just means you shouldn't pay as much for it. So this one is like the perfect one for the player because it's only cheaper because it doesn't have like original plastics everywhere. What I really like about this example is it is a 3-piece top, as these Norland era customs usually are, but the second piece starts from here and goes all the way over here. So it's like the main bulk majority of the guitar. Then you just kind of have these tiny little wings here. Now, age natural customs, you can't photograph these very well. They look like garbage when they're photographed. But when you get them in person and you can see all this light movement in the top, that's when these things really shine. Especially this little wing right here. You've got some quilting action going on. I mean, these really are blonde beauties. I wish I could capture the beauty of this guitar in photos. So the speed knobs here obviously have been replaced. There's no aging to them at all. If you did want a vintage set of knobs, I do have some from other guitars. I usually sell those at $50 a set. The bridge and tailpiece are original styled, but they are not the original ones. These are modern day Gibson parts. They have that PW under them. Now these are Ttop pickups. They have been out of the guitar and put back in. So I can't necessarily say if these are the original ones to this guitar, but this guitar did come to me without covers on the pickups. Now lucky me, a couple weeks ago some guy was selling a pair of Ttop covers. At least that's what he said it was. So it's like, well, for 40 bucks, I guess I'll give it a try. That's a pretty good deal. And hey, they came in handy here. So I went ahead and soldered those on. I'm not the best at that, as you can see on the back, but they are secured and they're looking good. Now this neck one does have a little bit of a dent in it, as you can see right there. That's just in the cover. I mean, that can be kind of annoying when you're looking down in the light, so I do want you to be aware of that. And you have tarnishing that's, you know, pretty well accurate to the rest of the guitar, so I think it definitely makes this guitar look good. The pick guard is an all parts replacement. The fit isn't 100% perfect, but it's actually really good for an aftermarket. You can just see there's a little bit of a gap there at the neck pickup. So obviously the screws are also replaced. I believe the pickup rings are original though. And the switch ring might be original. Switch tip has definitely been replaced. And you can see here you have Dunlop strap buttons on this guy. Back of the headstock here, serial number 80020587. That makes this a 1980 second day of the year and the 87th in production for that day. There is the Made in USA stamp there as well. Now when I first pulled this guitar out of the case, I was like, Grover tuners, you know, that's good. Great tuning stability. But then I looked here and I saw there wasn't screws. And that's when I started to get excited. I'm like, well, I could restore these with original Schallers and nobody would know any of the better because they didn't do the screw holes. Because I actually have parts that I could have restored this thing back to 100% original. However, once I started looking at it more, seeing that it does have some players wear, and that I hate selling things for top dollar. I like it when I can get a nice guitar to a player at an affordable price. But the other thing that stopped me is this thing has had multiple tuners on it. There are filled in holes underneath these Grovers. So that tells me there were Grovers on this before, and then somebody refilled those holes in. So if you take these Grovers off to restore them to a Schaller styled, you're still going to have filled in holes. 3-piece maple neck on this one yet. You can see you've got some stand rash on the sides where it kind of broke through the finish. And this side has a little bit there as well. But no breaks, cracks, or repairs. Once again, beautiful 3-piece maple. You've got some decent figuring going on in it. Not a lot of flame or anything, but just a little bit. Now there are a few light areas where the finish has been worn through, like right there, and I think it's right here. You'll see it under Blacklight. And I'm going to tell you, this guitar rocks really hard, but the neck is a little bit sticky. The neck profile on this one, I would definitely say it's still in the 60s profile, but it's got a little bit more chunk to it. It's not as super slim as some of the 70s and 80s Les Paul's neck profiles, but I would definitely still consider it a 60s profile. Back of the guitar, I like this back. You've got some more light figuring, and you got that characteristic 80s vibe where the grain filler makes it look white in the grain. Now it looks pretty clean, right? Then you get it in the light and you can see, wow, there's a lot of buckle worming on this example. Luckily, none of this buckle worming really breaks through the finish, and it still maintains a fairly clean vibe. There is quite a sizable ding into the binding right here, but that's probably the worst ding on the guitar. At least it didn't break the binding. Sides of the guitar here, once again, you have Dunlop strap buttons on it, and you got some light wear along the edges here. Once again, you got that ding and a little bit of clear coat wear and some more rivet wear and whatnot. But you know, overall as a player, this guitar is just about perfect. It's got wear in all the right areas. It's just drop dead gorgeous. Once again, these natural customs, you really got to see them in person to truly appreciate their beauty. It's kind of been a while since I've had a custom on the show, so it's kind of nice going back to my roots. Definitely try out a 70s and 80s Les Paul custom if you haven't. Blacklight demo here. You can see everything on the face of the headstock is good. Here you can see those light lacquer chips I was talking about around the tuning pegs. Under blacklight, they're definitely a lot more visible under normal lighting situations, but they are there. So again, pretty much just count on all the plastics being replaced. Obviously a few are original, like I think the poker chip and the rings here, but definitely the knobs and pick guard have been replaced. Here you can kind of see some of those light dings into the finish when I shine the light over it. So it's definitely not, you know, in perfect shape, but it's not in trashed shape either. Here we go again, proving the knobs are not original, and they got a little bit of a ding there. And the pick guard does have quite a bit of scratches on it. And you can see those light dings into it as well. So everything is good on the front. Top of the headstock you can see you have some average wear. There's your serial number and the exposed holes from the original Schaller tuners that these came with. Again, no breaks, cracks, or repairs, but you do have a little bit of hanger rash on this one. Finish on the neck. Again, it's a little bit sticky when you play, but there's also areas where the finish has kind of been worn through a little bit, especially along the sides. You can see that small area there and right there. Back of the guitar, nice even glow, but again you have a plethora of buckle worming on this example. Sides of the guitar, few light dings, but nothing incredibly bad. And again, Dunlop strap buttons. And I do not have the counterparts for those, so you'll have to get those. This one's actually pretty reasonable at just a hair over 10 pounds. 10 pounds, 0.3 ounces. This case is the original case to a Les Paul traditional. Somebody spray painted B East on it. I think it stood for Breaking East or something. It was a band name, but as far as you're concerned, it just says Beast. You could probably paint over that if you wanted to. But, I mean, this case has some scratches and some wear, but structurally, it is just fine. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5th back latch. And all white interior. I mean, it's a little bit dirty in some areas, but, I mean, very minor. I mean, I really am a big fan of these Gibson USA cases. They might not be, you know, the most fancy case in the world, but they sure do the job. They've got great heel support, and they've got double neck rests, and they have a nice little compartment in here. You can see the side-to-side fit is very good. I mean, you've got some up and down movement if you really move it, but the heel rest here will kind of help support that when you're actually holding it. The cleans will be running through a Gibson Super Gold Tone GA30RV. The dirty tones come from a Marshall JMP 1C. My review is done. If you think you might be interested in this very gorgeous 1980 Gibson Les Paul Custom Player's Grade, feel free to contact me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Troglys, Trogoys, or check out the Reverb or eBay listing. Thank you, Troglytes, for tuning in today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.